Title: I was late on my first day at work to save an injured stray dog. My wife's father, the boss, said, "You're fired. You chose an injured stray dog over the company." The flustered HR manager shouted, "Turn on the news." Then what followed was unbelievable. His voice still echoes in my head, cold, sharp, final. "You're fired." It was my first day. My wife's father, Gregory Vale, sat behind his massive mahogany desk, the kind you don't just look at, you bow to it. His tie was perfect, his jaw set. The smell of his cologne mixed with the faint tang of polished leather. And me? I stood there in my wrinkled shirt, late, because 10 minutes earlier I'd pulled a bleeding stray dog from the middle of Elm Street, its ribs showing through patchy fur, its whimper digging claws into my chest. I couldn't just drive past. "You chose an injured stray dog over this company?" His lip curled when he said stray, as if it tasted like dirt. The HR manager, a jittery man named Harris, kept glancing at the TV in the corner, his fingers twitching on the remote. Then he shouted, voice cracking, "Turn on the news!" And that's when everything started to unravel. Gregory Vale wasn't just my boss. He was my wife's father, the man who toasted us at our wedding, calling me the son he never had. The man who offered me a job in his empire, not because I needed it, but because he insisted, saying, "Family should rise together." I believed him. For years I defended him to my wife when she whispered about his ruthlessness, his business is blood sport philosophy. I told myself he was just old school, that behind the shark smile was loyalty. I was wrong. The news footage was grainy but clear enough. Gregory, weeks earlier, stepping out of a black SUV, shaking hands with men whose faces I recognized from my own quiet research. Not business partners, money launderers. And then, the part that made my stomach turn, Gregory handing an envelope to a man I knew had ordered an arson that killed 2 people. Harris froze when he saw my face. Gregory reached for the remote and killed the screen. "You didn't see anything," he said, calm, absolute. But I had seen. And the moment I did, something in me shifted. Pain burned into something colder. I didn't confront him, not yet. That would have been emotional, sloppy. I went quiet. I smiled at dinners. I nodded in meetings. And at night, while my wife slept, I planned. I started with surveillance, archiving every shady transaction I could access, planting a small camera in Gregory's office under the molding of a bookshelf. I collected enough footage to make the SEC salivate. Then I moved to the financial web. Gregory had shell companies nested like Russian dolls. I mapped them, every offshore account, every property deed, every donation that was a cover for laundering. Finally, I pulled in leverage. 2 ex-investigative journalists who owed me favors. I gave them pieces, not the whole puzzle, enough to keep them hungry but dependent. This wasn't about destroying Gregory, not yet. This was about timing. The opportunity came faster than I expected. Vale Industries' annual shareholder gala. Press, investors, cameras. Gregory's stage. 2 days before, I sent a USB drive to Harris, the HL manager. The files on it were explosive. Videos, documents, proof of Gregory's criminal deals. But the real trigger was the last file, a live feed link to the very dog I'd saved that first day, now healthy, adopted by the widow of one of Gregory's accidental fire victims. The symbolism was deliberate. On the night of the gala, Gregory stood at the podium, smiling like a king surveying his court. I stood at the back, hands in my pockets, heartbeat steady. Harris was near the AV booth, pale as milk. When Gregory raised his glass to integrity and vision, Harris pressed play. The giant screen behind Gregory flickered, and then played the footage. His meetings with criminals, his payoffs, his threats, his laugh over a phone call arranging a small fire at a warehouse, gasps, shouts, cameras swiveling like hunting dogs. Gregory turned, eyes wide for the first time since I'd known him. "This is a fabrication," he roared. But then the live feed came up. The widow holding the dog, its tail wagging. Her voice shaking as she said, "He saved us. Gregory Vale destroyed us." The room erupted. Reporters pushed forward, investors pulled back, security froze. Gregory's wife, my mother-in-law, walked out without a word. Police entered minutes later. I'd timed the release of the files to the authorities perfectly. Every account frozen, every alias exposed. Gregory locked eyes with me as they cuffed him. There was no pleading, no denial, just recognition. The kind a predator gives another predator who bested him. The headlines didn't stop for weeks. Corporate titan falls in criminal scandal. Vale Empire crumbles overnight. My wife filed for divorce, not from me, but from her father's shadow. The company was gutted, sold in pieces. Employees got severance packages from funds I'd quietly recovered and redirected. Harris vanished into early retirement. And me? I didn't take over. I didn't want the empire. Power wasn't the goal. The goal was justice. I still pass that street where I found the dog. Sometimes I see him in the park with the widow, tail wagging like none of it ever happened. Gregory writes letters from prison. I don't read them. Because the truth is, I wasn't late that first day because of a stray dog. I was late because I stopped for something Gregory never understood: humanity. And that's what destroyed him in the end. He thought I chose weakness. I chose the one thing he couldn't corrupt.